I'm often asked what is long-term disability insurance and why it's important. So first of all, it's a type of insurance that is either purchased privately or provided through your employer. And the purpose of the insurance is to provide you with a certain level of coverage in the event that you become disabled and unable to work. Now, the level of coverage that's available is always defined in the policy, and it is different for each employer, each person. Generally, though, what we see is we see a replacement wage of approximately 66 or 70% of your pre-accident gross income, although the policies can apply to net income or gross income. Each policy is different, which is why, and frankly, each carrier provides different types of coverage. Now, why it's important is that in the event that you ever become disabled, you will have some sort of safety net over and above what you receive from employment insurance or Canada Pension Disability. And most people can recognize that if you are, for whatever reason, injured or you become disabled for whatever reason, you do need some level of income in order to sustain yourself and your family. And that's where these long-term disability policies come into play. Now, when speaking about long-term disability, there's really two different components to a long-term disability insurance plan. And the first component really provides you with coverage for the first 2 years following the onset of disability. Now, what does that mean? That means that generally there is an elimination period. In most policies, or most people know what short-term disability is. So short-term disability generally is provided before the long-term disability benefits kick in. But this elimination period is generally similar to the short-term disability timeline, which is either generally 90 days, 120 days, or even up to 180 days. During that period, you do not receive any long-term disability benefits. Long-term kicks in after that elimination period or the short-term disability plan expires. Now, short-term disability generally provides you with a higher level of coverage, whether it's 80, 90, or even 100% of replacement wage for that period, whether it's, again, 120 days, 150, 180. After the elimination period in short-term disability benefits coverage period ends, then the long-term disability kicks in. So for the first 2 years of a long-term disability policy, you're entitled to coverage provided you are unable to do your own occupation. So what does that mean? You hear about an own occupation test. Well, it literally means that. Are you able to do your own job? If you're unable to do your own job, then you qualify, provided you have a medical reason, provided there aren't the exclusions, whether it's for pre-existing or whatever exclusions are set out under your policy. But if you're unable to do your own job, you are entitled to your long-term disability benefits. But where we see the most issues, and frankly, when we are frequently called, is once the 2 year period or the 104-week period ends, or as that anniversary, the 2-year anniversary approaches, that's when we often see insurance companies starting to ask questions about whether or not you're going to qualify for the next component of the test. So the post-104 week or post-2 year test describes, are you able to do any job that you're reasonably suited for? And that's where we see the bulk of the litigation. Insurance companies feel that after 2 years that you are capable of doing some sort of job for which you're reasonably suited. And that's where most denials come. So even though you may have been a construction worker, and that was your pre-disability employment, and you were working, you had no issues, and then for whatever reason you become disabled, you qualify for the first 2 years, you think that's great, and the reason why you qualify is because you're not able to do your own job. But then after the 2-year mark, then the insurance company says, well, hold on a second, sir or ma'am or person, you are able to do another type of job. You could work as a telemarketer. You could work as an operator. You could work as a gas station attendant. You could work as a parking lot attendant. And as a result, there is another job, because it's the any job for which you're reasonably suited. And we feel that there are jobs that you can do, and therefore we are terminating your benefits. That is the standard denial that we see regularly at the Presser Law Firm. And then what it means, once a claim has been denied, a person really has two options. The first option is to do nothing. And that's frankly what a lot of people do. They just don't do anything about it, and they figure out, well, my policy only provided coverage for 2 years, and I don't really understand this other test, but I'm not going to do anything about it. The second option that you have is to file an appeal. And filing an appeal, there are different types of appeal. There's an internal appeal and an external appeal. The internal appeal is where you are appealing it to the insurance company themselves, and which, frankly, I've never really seen an appeal to an insurance company be accepted, because most people are just submitting the same information that the insurance company already had, which was still insufficient to satisfy them to continue your long-term disability benefits. So the option where we get involved is frankly in what's called an external appeal, or that's where we actually commence a lawsuit against the insurance company. Because at the end of the day, what this case is really about, when you've been denied your long-term disability benefits, it's really a denial of coverage, or it's a breach of contract case. So when an insurance company is in breach of their agreement, you really have only one avenue of recourse, which is to litigate against them, to make sure that they that hold up their end of the bargain, the part of the bargain which you expected them to satisfy, and for which you've been paying premiums for years. It's through litigation that we are able to prove that you are unable to perform any job for which you're reasonably suited, which is in direct contravention to what the insurance company is saying. And we use a variety of techniques to do so. That's using expert evidence, vocational evidence, and various other types of litigation strategies that we employ in order to convince the insurance company that you in fact satisfy or satisfy the test which enables you to receive coverage. Now that coverage lasts technically up to the age of 65, and again, this is an area that most people overlook. They think that these policies are only for 2 years, and that's generally wrong. These policies actually last up to the age of 65. It's just the test changes after 2 years. Now, lawyers are key to this equation. Without lawyers, insurance companies are able to deny claims with no consequences. Insurance companies respond to risk, and the only way that you can create risk to an insurance company, largely, is to litigate against them. Litigation levels the playing field. It also allows you, as the client, to not have to worry about dealing with the insurance company, because there's no doubt that you've had a very unpleasant relationship with the insurance company to date. That's often why people contact us. People feel that they're not listened to, that they're not heard. They feel that despite providing every bit of information that the insurance company's ever asked, it's still not enough. Their desire for more information is insatiable, and people are generally completely overwhelmed. And what's often also overlooked is that people that are in the circumstances in which they are on long-term disability benefits in the first place, they're already not doing well. Their illnesses or their symptoms are very profound. It's so profound that they're having difficulty performing their job, or any job. Frankly, they're having difficulty functioning on a daily basis. And it's these type of people that are inherently vulnerable. And it's their circumstances which they're in that makes it so difficult for them to take on an insurance company on their own, especially when they're constantly pestering you about updates and how are you doing, and we need this document completed, that document completed, all kinds of explanations as to why you're not doing this, why you're not in treatment, how's treatment doing, how is your day-to-day. It's just a totally overwhelming process that often leads to a denial in any event. So we lawyers, we take over, we make sure that you don't have to worry about that. You end up focusing on yourself and getting better, and you let us deal with the insurance company. So if you've been met with a long-term disability denial or even a short-term disability denial, feel free to give myself a call. My name is Jeffrey Presler at the Presler Law Firm. My law firm can assist you in disputing any denial from a long-term disability carrier, and we can help secure the compensation and benefits that you're duly owed and entitled.